Aldridge, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Miss Aldridge, you're before the court on 2021 CR 04484, Mary Nell Aldridge, for driving under the influence, count 1 per se, driving under the influence less safe, count 2, an open container violation. You're represented by Attorney Justin White of the law firm of Lister Holton Dennis. But Mr. White, what is your client plea to the offenses before the court?
Your Honor, she'll be pleading guilty to the DUI per se, as well as the open container, Your Honor.
All right. By entering a plea of guilty to counts 1 and 3, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Your Honor, Mr. White, I don't think you said, which one were you taking?
He said driving under the influence per se and open container.
Oh, no, Your Honor, the offer.
Yes, Your Honor. We had discussed multiple different offers in the case. Miss Aldridge has decided to take the offer that was $800 fine, 60 hours community service with the 1 AA meeting per week.
Okay.
I emailed you something, lawyer. I don't know if you got it already, but I did go to a DUI and DDS school. I don't know how much of a difference would that make in the offer you all are trying to give me.
Okay, I thought y'all talked about this.
All right.
Yes, we did, but I don't know if you got the email quick enough. Yeah, I did a DUI and DDS at
It's not for me. It's not going to matter. It's for me anyway. Thank you. Okay. All right, Your Honor, on December the 4th of 2020, during a road safety check, where the officer, was on, let me probably check out, I had that sleeping sheet already. Norman Drive in Park Place, where the incident occurred in Clayton County. He came into contact with a motor vehicle being operated by the defendant, Miss Mary Aldridge, where he took her driver's license and confirmed through a GCIC check. At that time, the officer observed a strong odor of alcohol coming from her breath, and then observed an open wine bottle in the cup holder. The officer asked the defendant to step out of the vehicle. Upon stepping out of the vehicle, she lost her balance. The officer asked her how much she had been drinking. She said a few glasses of Chardonnay, but she was not drunk. And advised that she was on her way to pick up her children. The officer asked the defendant about conducting the field sobriety test, in which she agreed. At that time, he performed the HGN, the walk and turn, and the one leg stand, to which the defendant did not perform well on either of those tests. At that time, the officer took the defendant into custody, read her the implied consent. She consented to giving her blood. Blood was drawn. And it was 0.121. The blood alcohol content was determined to be 0.121. So for count 1, the state is recommending 12 months probation, a $800 fine, 60 hours of community service, a risk reduction program, drug and alcohol evaluation and follow-up treatment, no drugs or alcohol, random screening and testing, and 1 AA meeting per week. Count 2 would merge. Count 3 be a $200 fine.
Mr. White?
Your Honor, that is what we negotiated. The only thing I would ask is that due to the extra conditions added on to the DUI, if we could just suspend the open container fine. Your Honor, Ms. Aldridge is taking care of her kids. She's going back and forth between Georgia and Miami to help to work. And she does not have stable housing, completely stable housing at the moment. So we just ask at least, very least that fine be suspended, Your Honor.
All right, so, any objections from the state?
The suspension of the fine, Your Honor?
The $200 fine.
Well, yes, because we got down to these numbers as a part of the negotiation, so I do, but
All right, so that'll be in the, okay. So, Mr. White, the one consolation is, the number 3 won't have the additional, DUI fines with it. Sometimes if you say $1,000 on the DUI, you know how the fines are enhanced. So, the $200 will be at the regular rate.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So, Miss Aldridge,
Question. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna explain everything, and if you have questions after I finish, then you can ask. All right, so 12 months probation, a fine in the amount of $800. It's gonna be a lot more than that because of the surcharges. I have the regular surcharges, but I don't have the DUI enhanced surcharges. But there's more if it's a
More
DUI.
charges? It's crazy. I don't even have nowhere to stay. Like, well, I know it's not y'all problem, but go ahead, I guess.
All right, well,
And I can do about it.
let me get through this and we can talk about some stuff, okay? All right, so 60 hours of community service. We can modify it to change, I guess, a portion of the fines and fees into community service is my understanding. But let's see if you do the first 60 hours of community service. A risk reduction program, a substance abuse evaluation, and any treatment that may be ordered. No alcohol or illicit drugs during the course of your probation, and you're subject to random screens for alcohol and drugs, and 1 AA meeting per week. Now, I did understand you to say that you had taken some courses, so present those to probation. If they have any questions about whether they're allowable, they'll bring them to me and ask about whether I'm willing to accept them, but go ahead and present them to your probation officer. Also, to run concurrent with that, meaning at the same time as, is a fine, an additional fine in the amount of $200. So let's talk about it. So where are you? Okay, breathe. So are you here in Georgia? Or are you in Miami? What's going on?
I'm back and forth. I come. Yeah, because I don't really have a stable place to stay, so I have some work here. So I come here and work, and then I'll be back and forth with my mom and my kids. So, I mean, like, this is like years later, and it's coming to a point, it's at a point now that it has finally surfaced that I'm going through all these transitions and got all this going on. So it's really inconvenience and messing up the quality of life for me right now, like the meetings and all this. And so it's like, and then y'all got like, I'm a drunk or alcoholic, like these classes, like that's, I mean, I guess that's how it goes, but that's crazy. It wasn't like I was a radical driver or anything. I voluntarily went that way because I was fine going to get someone to go back home. But, blood thing, I mean, the blood says different, but I get that part. But I mean, it's just a lot right now. It's just a lot. And, I don't want to violate being the fact that I'm here and I'm there. It's just a lot right now.
Stop. Okay, first of all, a lot of people think that they're fine when they've had some drinks, but a blood alcohol level of 1.21, and you don't look to be that big. So that's a lot of alcohol in your system. And so, no, you weren't fine. And just imagine if you
had because I had to move. They sold our house while I was in there and we had nowhere to go. So I've been going through this for years.
House. I'm talking about your blood alcohol level. Listen to me.
Yeah, I'm saying I was going to the store to get wine to go back to cope with my own self. It wasn't like I'm just driving the street drunk and erratically. You know what I'm saying? So all these classes and it's just like crazy.
So, Miss Aldridge, you still not accepting responsibility because you're saying
I
I was
accept
drunk
it.
and erratically. You got somebody's attention.
They stopped every car. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't feel like I was like no kind of way. So I just went through, but
You
I get
saying
it.
with a
The numbers
point?
don't lie.
Well, I'm just saying a 0.121 blood alcohol level. That's almost twice the legal limit. So you was just saying because I was all right. I'm all right though. I could do it. And this is just causing me all kind of problems. Okay, let's get to
No,
what do you
I'm
do
not
for a
saying it like that. I'm not saying it
okay,
like
Miss
that, but
Aldridge, what do you do for a living?
I bartend, I be at the Marriott, and also a merchandiser. So I come in town and work with this company, and I'm back out of town. So I'm back and forth. I'm down there with my mom, helping my mom, and then I'm here trying to work to be back and forth to get a place. I don't even have a place, so I don't even know how I'm gonna do all this. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm setting myself up to fail right now. You know what I'm saying? I just want this over, and it's coming years later where my life is category 5 right now. My life is category 5 right now. I mean, it's just a lot, but I just want this to be over.
Okay, breathe. Okay, just breathe. All right. So the biggest thing is I I understand what the situation is now. But the biggest thing is that you tell your probation officer if you're having difficulties. What I've said is whatever you've done already, they're going to consider that, okay? And if they can accept that, they will. So that'll be some of the stuff already done. The most important part is that you don't, I mean, you're working around alcohol, so that's kind of scary to me, but you're not to have any, consume any alcohol or illicit drugs during the course of the 12 months. And you're to attend an AA meeting. Now, you keep saying how this is an inconvenience to you and all of that, but ma'am, a blood alcohol level of 0.21, it scares me that you're really not accepting, you're not accepting responsibility. You're not saying, hey, I made a mistake and I'm moving on and things have been rough since then. I get it. You're saying, yeah, I was good. And I did, I stopped and they didn't stop me and I was good to go. I could have made it all the way home with my wine, which tells
I
me
mean, yeah,
that you,
I had my reasons at that time because we had to move and I had nowhere to go but back to Miami, something I didn't want to do. So I was going through a lot at that moment. You know, and our landlord sold our house while we were in it.
all
So
right.
it was just like we're homeless now. So I was going through something at that time. It wasn't like I'm just drinking and driving. But I mean, I get things happen. And I just I
Okay.
gotta, face the consequences right now.
Okay.
And it's just
So,
coming up at a time that, isn't good. I
well,
understand I gotta
okay. All right. All right. So just I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with Mr. Carmichael. He's gonna explain everything you need to know about probation. If there are any issues with you completing something for probation, then discuss that with Mr. Carmichael. He will help you to make he will help you to have the information necessary to make the decisions you need to make. I do say this though, the quickest way to get rearrested is to not report for probation. So you gotta report, okay? All right, I'm gonna put you in the
okay.
breakout room with Mr. Carmichael.